from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. We are ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I'm Charita Vinapurarachi. Joining with me today is Sharifa Tahir. The President says talks will commence soon on the China-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. 5 persons killed in road accidents. The Korean government extends condolences to the family of Mohammed. Imran Khan accuses a group including the Prime Minister for attempting to assassinate him. 15 more days to feel the FIFA experience. On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. The President Ranil Wickremesinghe says it is hoped to commence immediately the discussions on a China-Sri Lanka free trade agreement.
He points out that there are extensive opportunities to enhance bilateral trade, and President Wickremesinghe has made these remarks addressing the inauguration ceremony of the 5th China International Import Exhibition, or the CIIE Expo Exhibition.
The Chinese International Export Trade Exhibition has commenced in 2017. So far, more than 500 institutions in 145 countries have joined the Chinese exhibition. The ceremony is conducted in Chennai city, which is the commercial hub of China. Chinese President Xi Jinping has presided over the event yesterday. He has pointed out on this occasion that their intention is to share the massive market opportunities of China with all countries in the world. He added that this would bring added value to the Chinese local market as well. Sri Lankan President has been accorded the opportunity to address the meeting after the Chinese President. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, addressing the ceremony via online, said that the event is a precious opportunity for Sri Lankan trading institutions to receive the beneficial conditions of the Chinese international market.
It gives me great pleasure to address the 5th China International Import Expo. Before I begin my speech, I would first like to congratulate Your Excellency on the ever-expanding success of the CIE and on Your Excellency's re-election as a General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. I remember it was during the first forum of the Belt and Road Initiative back in 2017 that the CIE was first unveiled. Since then, the CIIE has been both an important step in trade liberalization as well as a vital tool in strengthening economic cooperation around the world. This international import-themed expo fair is an innovative stage in the developing countries' attempts to enter the Chinese market. The CIE has allowed many countries and businesses to enjoy the benefit of the growing consumption appetite of the Chinese people. I must thank you, Mr. President, and the Chinese government for this measure. Sri Lanka has been participating in the CIIE since its inception. Our businesses have benefited greatly through this participation. We have been provided the opportunity for our industries to establish a foothold in the Chinese market. Modern relations between Sri Lanka and China began with the Rubberized Pact. This was an unique agreement at the time. This year marks the 70th anniversary of the pact. The bilateral relationship between our two nations has since then expanded into numerous areas, including trade, investment, tourism, education, defense and health. In 2021, the total volume of trade between our two nations was US dollars 4.3 billion. China is Sri Lanka's biggest source of imports, and there is room to further develop bilateral trade. We are hopeful that negotiations on the free trade agreement will be recommenced in the near future. I once again warmly congratulate Your Excellency and the other officials who have persisted in ensuring the continued success of this significant import expo, despite the challenges posed by the pandemic. I take this opportunity to extend my best wishes for a successful 5th International Import Expo, as well as the future prosperity of all the participants. Thank you.
3 persons have been killed in a bus accident in Nochimottai Bridge on the Vavuniya A9 road early morning today.
30 persons have been injured. The police says the bus was thrown out of the road and fell due to the inability of the driver to control the vehicle. The police says it was a private bus which was speeding towards Colombo from Jaffna during inclement weather that met with the accident. Those killed, including the driver, were in the age 32, 23 and 35. A lorry heading for Horana from Paduka clashed head-on with a three-wheeler. The driver of the three-wheeler was killed in the incident. He was a 36-year-old resident of Millevatta. The police says that the accident has occurred when the three-wheeler attempted to overtake the vehicle. Driver of a Bowser was killed on the spot when the vehicle he was driving toppled with transporting fuel to the Halbode plantation in Pusalawa. The accident took place around 2 a.m. today. The victim is a 43-year-old resident of Rinkamali and a father of a child. And meanwhile, the chairman of the Delimination Committee, Mahinda Deshapriya, says that they will not contribute to the process of postponing local government elections.
He points out that the responsibility entrusted upon the committee is to reduce the number of councillors in the local government institutions. The National Committee on Delimitation of Electorates of Local Government Institutions has been gazetted under the signature of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. In addition to Chairman of the committee, Mahinda Deshapriya, who was former Chairman of the Election Commission, the other members are Jalat Ravi Disanaika, WMMR Adhikari, K. Thavalingam and I.A. Hamid. The period commencing 1st of November 2022 to 28th February 2023 comes under the purview of the Delimitation Committee.
Chairman of the Delimination Committee, Mahinda Deshapriya, said that the President has declared that the number of provincial councillors should be decreased to 4,000 from the current figure of 8,000. The chairman added that their duties is to be reduced the number of councillors to 4,000. Work in this regard has already commenced, and he added that the deadline has been given for them to finish the job by the 20th of February next year. He further said that they are not involved in the process to delay the holding of the elections. It is beyond their powers to determine the date of the elections.
State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya says he will receive by next week the controversial report on taxing on sugar prepared by the Department of Inland Revenue.
The minister adds that it will be tabled in Parliament upon receipt. In the year 2020, the government has reduced the special commodity tax on a kilo of sugar to 49 rupees and 75 cents from 50 rupees and 25 cents. However, several institutions, including the Commission investigating on charges of bribery or corruption and the Committee on Public Accounts, had complained that the benefit on the reduction of the tax was not passed on the consumer. By October 2020, the retail price of a kilo of sugar was nearly 130 rupees. Reduction of the tax had taken place on the 13th of October 2020. At the time of the imposition of the tax, sugar importers had their possession around 90,000 metric tons of imported sugar. Upon declaration on the inability to reduce sugar price, despite the tax declaration of the inability to reduce the price decrease, the government has increased the revenue tax on a kilo of sugar to 40 rupees and 27th of October in the same year. Charges have been levied regarding the government incurring a loss of billions of rupees as a result of not validating of revised taxes until the 13th of November. November 2020. Auditor General's report based on the investigations had recorded that the government had incurred a loss of 16.7 billion rupees. Due to the incident, Minister Ranjit Singh Balapitiya further says that the report points out to be vigilant on recovering the loss of revenue.
Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira requests all those engaged in agricultural activities to carry on with their cultivations without any fear or suspicion, as the government will provide the necessary fertilizer requirements to the farmers. And it has also been pointed out that paddy has been cultivated in an extent of twofold than in the previous Yalla season. The minister further points out that the required paddy harvest would be fulfilled through the upcoming season, overcoming any shortfall in the previous season. The minister has made these remarks participating in the distribution of fertilizer for the Maha season. The fertilizer stocks have been ordered through World Bank aid amounting to $105 million. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that they are expected to receive 7.5 million litres during the season. The stocks are most likely to be received by December. The minister further said that by this time, sowing of paddy seeds would come to an end. The stocks will be handed over free of charge prior to harvesting.
මේ කන්නේම අපිට ඉන්ධන ලැබිලා තියෙනවා ලීටර් ලක්ෂ 75ක් අපිට ලැබෙනවා මේක ලැබෙන්නේ බොහෝ දුරට දෙසැම්බර් මාසයේ එතකොට අපේ සීසෑම අවසාන වෙනවා චීන රජයෙන් අපිට ලැබෙන්නේ දව්වක් අපි ඒක ගොවි ජනතාවට නොමිලේම ලබා දෙනවා අස්වනු නෙලීමට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබුණා TSP ලබා ගන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක පිළිබඳව අපිට මුදල් ප්‍රතිපාදනයකට ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් TSP ඔබ දන්නවා රටවල් වලින් අපනයනය කිරීම තහනම් කරලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම ලොකු ප්‍රමාණයක් ගන්න බෑ. අපිට ලැබෙනවා හැබැයි ලැබෙන්නේ ප්‍රමාද වෙලා. එතකොට අපිට මේ කන්නේට උදා ගන්න බෑ. ඒක අපි යල කන්නේ පටන් ගන්නකොටම මේ TSP ටික දෙනවා නොමිලේ. අපේ ගොවියා ගිය කන්නේ අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වුණාට වඩා දෙගුණයක වගා කරා. අපේ VSN යම් මට්ටමකට ආවා. දැන් මාස් කන්නෙන් අපේ VSN සම්පූර්ණ වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා වහාම මේ හාල් ගැනීම නවත්තන්න ඕන. මම මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ලේකම්තුමාට ඊයේත් කිව්වා මම හිතන්නේ ඒකට උත්තරේ මැදිහත් වෙයි කියලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Minister also said the stocks are to be imported under several stages, and he mentioned on this occasion that there are adequate quantities of fertilizer for the Maha season. The Ministry of Agriculture has decided to supply in one installment of the urea fertilizer requirements for the districts of Ampara, Batikla and Trincomalee. The necessary urea fertilizer stocks have already been distributed to all provinces other than the Eastern Province via 566 centres. The second and the third urea fertilizer installments and muddy fertilizer are to be handed over at once to these areas. Farmers will also be given financial assistance amounting to 20,000 rupees per 1 hectare to purchase organic fertilizer. The fertilizer distribution process is being implemented through a committee headed by district secretaries.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says the country should be directed towards development with proper planning. He has made these remarks in an inspection tour to the Kotikavat Mulderiava Pradesh Sabha recently. The Prime Minister further said that there are plans underway to further develop the area as an urban centre. He further said that the new development plans will be brought by joining more new investors. Talks have been conducted with the Urban Development Authority to preserve the Mulderiava Lake and the adjoining areas as placed as historical heritage. Minister Kanchana, State Minister Janaka Vakumbara and others were present at this occasion.
Street food has become an immensely popular type of food today, and it is almost a culture of food. Street food prevails in Sri Lanka as well. Hoppers and pickles of Sri Lanka has been included in the best types of street food in Asia. Sri Lankan food culture is a striking feature among world food. The country's food culture had been further enriched through the impact of colonial administrations, including Portuguese, Dutch and English. The CNN television channel was engaged in an exploration on Asian food in August of last year. It was this television that has paid special tribute to Sri Lanka's culinary techniques. The news program has highly appreciated Sri Lanka's hoppers and pickles. The explorers have also mentioned 12 more types of Sri Lankan food, which included fish ambultial, kottu, chicken curry, dal curry, lamb fry, string hoppers, polos curry, brinjal curry, gotukola salad and food processed from wood apple. The selections have clearly demonstrated the fact that foreigners focus more attention on Sri Lanka's cooking methods. It is believed that the popular food culture would help to make Sri Lanka a more stronger location of tourist attraction.
A cycle tour targeting the promotion of Sri Lanka's tourism industry has got underway from Point Pedro this morning. The cyclists are scheduled to travel up to Dondra Point. The main objective in organizing the cycle tour is to give a message to the world regarding the Sri Lanka's tourism industry. Foreign cyclists are joining the local cyclists in this tour.
We now move on to some news in brief. A group of Canadian parliamentarians met Minister of Foreign Affairs and President's Counsel Ali Sabri recently. The delegation has pointed out on this occasion that Sri Lankans living in Canada show a special interest to engage in commercial activities and investments with the objective of enhancing Sri Lanka's social and economic development. A suspect has been arrested by the Central Anti-Corruption Unit of Alana Panadura with an assembled luxury jeep. The value of the vehicle is around 10 million rupees. An all-island dengue control program is being implemented under the direction of Senior DIG Jesabandhu Tennakon. The Police Environmental Division, the Police Special Task Force and National Dengue Control Unit, along with the Colombo Municipal Council, were engaged in a dengue control program centering on Summit Houses complex in Colombo 7. 8 suspects who were attempting to unearth gold scanning machines buried by the LTTE were arrested. The raid has been conducted by STF in Dialogala near the Verugala Bridge archaeological location. 3 robbers who entered the Marambe Cooperative Rural Bank in Navisavala have stolen a safe comprising of gold jewellery and cash valued at nearly 5 million rupees. Avisavala police says an information relating to the suspects could be reported to the telephone numbers 071-859-1425 or 071-859-3754. Development activities in 25 kilometers of roads in the Hinguragoda Pradeshiya Sabha division in Polonnaruwa have been completed. More than 30 million rupees has been spent on the reconstruction of the shortest road to many villages including Rathmale, Minneria, Paluaddana and Rotavava. A suspect engaged in racketeering of ice narcotic has been arrested with more than 3 million rupees of drugs in Navaladi in Valathene. The suspect, resident of Ottamavadi, also had in his possession cash and 2 cellular phones. The Western Province Northern Crime Division has arrested a suspect engaged in robbing items including laptops, televisions and projectors in Bambalapitiya, Kollupitiya and Kotahena areas. 12 grams of heroin were found in the possession of motorcyclist who came in a vehicle without a number plate to Nugegoda from Navala. He has also had a toy pistol. Upon investigation, it was found that he was engaged in stealing motorcycles in many police divisions. Body of Mohammad Jinath, who was killed in a stampede in Seoul City in Korea, was brought to his residence in Udatalavinna, Kandy, yesterday.
The final rites were conducted according to the Islamic religious rituals last night. Korean ambassador in Sri Lanka, Santosh Vujin Jeon, has arrived at his residence yesterday to extend condolences to the relatives of Jinath. 156 persons were killed in a crash in Seoul City, South Korea during an incident recently. Mohammad Jinath of Sri Lanka was one of the victims. Ambassador of Korea, in a conversation with the family members of Mohammad Jinath, said that the government of Korea will extend whatever relief possible to the family of the deceased. Five sluice gates of the Polgola Reservoir have been opened
as a result of the heavy rainfall lasting on the western slopes in the central province. As a result, residents whose water of the reservoir in the lower segments have been requested to remain vigilant. Western slopes in the Central Highlands have been receiving heavy rainfall in the past few days. Meanwhile, engineer in charge of the Dedaroya reservoir says flow sluice gates of the reservoir have been opened by 4 feet each since this morning. Accordingly, the reservoir is releasing a water capacity of 11,200 cubic feet each second. Engineer Sampath Samarasekara says the reason for the opening of the sluice gates has been the Dinaminiya Tanna in Matale receiving torrent rainfall of 126 millimeters. Several roads in Mirigama, Gampaha were inundated. Our correspondent says transport on the Mirigama Gasper Road has come to a standstill. The Department of Meteorology predicts rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters is expected in the central Sabaragama and Uva provinces as well as in the districts of Ampara, Kurunegala, Gampaha and Hambantota. The Met Department reports adds that sea area extending from Galle to Pottuwil via Hambantota would turn somewhat rough. Provincial winds may experience in these sea areas at times of thunder showers. Therefore, the naval and fishing communities have been requesting from the people to remain vigilant. An 82-year-old woman was killed when a wall of a house collapsed in Rattota Matale. The incident has occurred around 11 p.m. last night. In the meantime, residents of Dummalasuriya say they are confronted with a large-scale racket of gravel stones being conducted in the area for a considerable period.
They add that the daily transport of gravel by tipper trucks have made the roads dilapidated. The villagers points out that although relevant officials have been informed of the incident, no measures have so far been taken to prevent it. Even school children have been subjected to difficulties due to constant travelling of tipper trucks carrying gravel stones. Welcome back with international stories. And former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has accused his successor of involvement in a plot to kill him as recovered in hospital from gunshot wounds following an assassination attempt. Khan told reporters today that the former Prime Minister Shehzad Sharif, who placed him as Prime Minister following a vote on no confidence in April, was involved in a plot that included Minister of the Interior Rana Sanaullah and a senior army commander. These three decided to kill me, Khan said. That is first public appearance since Thursday's attack, adding that 2 gunmen were involved. The government has denied any part and blamed the assassination attempt of a gunman fueled by religious extremism. The media wing of Pakistan's military called allegations baseless and irresponsible. The government of Pakistan has been requested to investigate the matter and initiate legal actions against those responsible for defamation and false accusations against the institution and its officials without any evidence whatsoever. The military inter-services public relations said in a statement. Sanaullah also rejected the allegations and said that the coalition government had demanded an independent investigation. And meanwhile, Twitter's new owner Elon Musk says that he had no choice but to slash the company's workforce as the firm is losing more than $4 billion a day.
Half of the company are being let go a week after Mr. Musk bought Twitter in a $44 billion deal. Twitter staff have been using the platform to talk about their dismissal. There are concerns Twitter could water down content moderation, but Mr. Musk said the firm's policies remain absolutely unchanged. As reports emerged on Friday that thousands of staff at Twitter around the world were losing their jobs, questions were asked over the future of employees responsible for taking down harmful material. Online safety groups and campaigners have suggested Mr. Musk might relax moderation policies.
Prima Stella Set Yogurt.
ජය ගන්න වැඩි වෙන්න.
Welcome back with your sports update, and starting off with cricket. New Zealand and England have been successful in securing their places for the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup cricket tournament by beating Australia and Sri Lanka respectively.
Sri Lanka and England competed in the final of the Super 12 round in Sydney Cricket Ground. Sri Lanka has scored 141 runs with the loss of 8 wickets in 20 overs. Pathum Nissanka scored 67 runs. Mark Wood took 3 wickets for 26 runs. England has reached the victory target of 142 runs in 19 overs and 4 deliveries. Alex Hale 47, Dhananjaya Silva winning the Hasaranga and Lahiru Kumara took 2 wickets each. England with the victory has been elevated to the second position in the points table. New Zealand is leading the table. Australia has reached the third position. This was the 4th occasion of Sri Lankan team eliminated in the first round itself. Sri Lanka became champions in 2014 and runners-up in 2009 and 2012. Sri Lanka will be engaged in a one-day international comprising of 3 matches against Afghanistan, which is scheduled to commence in Sri Lanka on the 25th of this month. All matches will be played at the Pallekele International Stadium.
Moving to football from cricket, only 15 days more for the 2022 FIFA World Cup football tournaments, and all the matches will be telecasted live on the national television commencing from the 20th of this month.
In 109 World Cup matches and secured victories in 73 of them. Brazil is also anticipated in the first place in the world football rankings. The team will compete under G category in the preliminary round. The finals of the FIFA tournament is scheduled to be conducted on the 18th of December.
Prima Stella Set Yogurt.
ජය ගන්න වැඩි වෙන්න.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita signing with Sharifa. Stay safe.